Can you outrun the future? In Sweden, a roaring subculture is keeping the American dream alive with V8 horsepower.
And we are a little bit rebels. We was, and the new generation is.
But what are they rebelling against?
It's a real niche culture for most people to understand or like. Some hate us, some don't.
If you want to drive an electric car, go ahead. But don't stop me from driving my hobby car.
You never know the future. Is there petrol in 25 years? I don't know.
For some, it's simply a passion for old cars, music and memories. For others, it's a reaction to change. And in parts of the scene, nostalgia and rebellion also overlap with politics. So is this culture driven by a love of the past, resistance to the present, or a fear of what comes next? And why, of all places, did the American dream take such a powerful hold in Sweden? After the Second World War, Sweden became fascinated with American culture, movies, music, fashion, and above all, cars. For young Swedes, America appeared exciting, excessive, and free. An escape from the smaller, quieter, and more practical world around them.
When they came out of that cinema, their eyes were like this, because they had seen something that they didn't even think existed.
The American cars, it was beautiful cars, it was good horsepower. My first car was a 63 Thunderbird, and it was rather cheap during that time.
America arrived as a symbol of freedom, and the open road became one of its most powerful images.
The cars are bigger, they are bolder, they take their place in the street in a different way than European cars did.
After World War II, American cars began arriving in Sweden from across Europe.
We have been having American cars in Sweden since the 50s because we started importing them when the American troops left Germany, and that's when the whole culture started.
In a recovering Europe, these huge chrome-covered machines seemed almost alien. Longer, louder, and more extravagant than the cars around them. For a generation expected to be modest and orderly, that excess became a form of rebellion. The point was the refusal to blend in.
We are rebels. They didn't want to be like everyone else.
The perfect young rebellion, the cars and the music and the freedom when you drive it.
Mostly it is against the society.
In Sweden, this way of life became known as Raggare, a youth culture built around American cars, cruising, rock and roll, and defiance.
Per capita, we have more American cars in Sweden than America have themselves. But they don't drive it, they are not a raggare. We drive our cars, we use our cars.
Whatever the exact number, what is clear is that these cars are not simply collected. They are kept on the road and used as part of a living culture. American car clubs appeared across Sweden. A clubhouse anchors the culture. Part garage, part social club, and part link between generations. Moonshine Cruisers in Stockholm was founded in 1985. It's one of the city's longest running active Raggare clubs.
It's a real nice community and everyone feels like they belong.
The main thing is that we are like American cars. We like the community and the people.
I would say that the car clubs, they are crucial. They are important because they bring everything together.
Sweden also gave the culture an unusual rhythm. The cars are driven through the short summer, then disappear into garages and workshops for the long winter.
The big difference in the car culture from Sweden and America is that we restore our cars in the winter time. That's the big thing. But we take a lot of inspiration from America. But we have very good craftsmen here in Sweden. You know, nobody drives the car in the winter, so we restore the cars and we fix them and we make them better than the Americans do.
But winter is not simply a pause between driving seasons. During the darkest months, the culture moves indoors. into garages and workshops where the cars are repaired, restored and prepared for summer. That yearly cycle helped produce specialist knowledge, skilled craftspeople and cars maintained with extraordinary care. In Sweden, the long winter didn't weaken the culture. In many ways, it helped preserve it.
I would say that the Swedish classic cars are best preserved, but also best when they are renovated, when they are restored. We do a great job up here because we are really thorough, really specialized in doing it in a good way.
When summer returns, driving is no longer routine, it's an event.
And this is how it is in Sweden. Just cruising, having a good time.
To understand why these machines became cultural icons, it helps to look at what they promised when they were new. In the 1950s, American car design became theatrical. Cars were shaped not only by function, but by dreams of aircraft, rockets, space travel, and speed.
So we have two flying aeroplanes bulging up through the metal, and then they come flying out of the hood with one wing up and the other wing down, and going straight out through the hood, and that's a cool thing.
Designers like Harley Earl at General Motors and Virgil Exner at Chrysler were not simply selling transportation. They sold the American dream. The future would be bigger, shinier, and more powerful. And novelty was built into every detail.
The United States were very specialized in innovation. So in this one, you have the swing-away steering wheel. So when you sit down as a driver here, and you want to, you have an easy entry because of the wheel is out of the way. But then when you start driving the car, you pull the wheel to you, and then when you put a car in gear, then the steering wheel is locked.
Swivel seats, automatic dipping headlights, polarized sun visors, even a Roadrunner horn lifted from a cartoon. No idea seemed too strange to try. That is the American dream preserved here: abundance, invention, and the freedom to stand out. And at the center of that experience is the V8. Power heard before it's seen.
And then the magic happens, goes like this.
The feeling, the sound, they have souls, real personalities.
I listen a lot to country music, except for the V8. V8 is my main soundtrack.
All car that I want to drive, everything has to be a V8.
Modern cars are often marketed on comfort, efficiency, and refinement. These cars offer something physical: vibration, sound, smell, and motion.
You hear the rumbling sound of the V8, you feel the transmission working, you get up to gear, and you just go out, have a nice time. You get relaxed when you drive these cars. It's not like modern cars, because modern cars, they stress you out in another way.
The world that created these cars believed the future would always mean more. Today, their Swedish owners preserve them while the future moves in another direction. In Tony's showroom in Stockholm, the result of Sweden's culture of preservation is visible. Rows of American classics shine like museum pieces, waiting for their moment on the road. The cars are not simply collector's items. They tell the story of the American dream, reimagined and kept alive far from its birthplace.
So the car is going to live on, and it's going to surpass us. It's going to live longer than we do.
But not every Swedish-American car is preserved to perfection. At the other end of the scene is the Pilsner Bil, the beer car.
They save it from the scrapyard, but it looks terrible. They play very loud music, they drink a lot. They make themselves noticed, if you know what I mean.
The cars look terrible, but that's mostly what is going nowadays.
Where the restorer removes every flaw, the Pilsner Bil turns damage into a source of pride. For some, it's freedom. For others, it's noise, alcohol, and nuisance. But the old Raggare impulse remains, refuse to conform or blend into the background.
But they do the same as we did, but they don't call themselves Raggare. But they are, more or less.
The culture also thrives beyond private garages. At car meets like classic cars and customs, cars become a way for people to connect. For a few hours, the past becomes physical. Something to polish, drive, hear, and touch.
I'm sorry. I get so emotional talking about this because it's such a wonderful culture, and the people are great, and the cars are great, and you know, this whole community is so wonderful. Everybody helps each other, and everybody is so friendly. So it's really amazing. It's an amazing cultural thing to do.
We meet a lot of friends. You have new friends in this hobby. And it's fun because when you have a car like this, it's fun to compete.
When you cruise around the city, you switch cars and you sit there and talk with them for half an hour, and then you switch to another car and then talk to them. And it's like, even if you don't know people, you will know them by the end of the evening.
This is why the culture survives beyond the objects themselves. It offers friendship, ritual, family, and a place to belong.
We love our cars, we take care of them, they're our family members.
My dad became a member in Moonshine when I was like 5 years old, I think. So it's just, I've grown up with these people.
We take it from our families. My mom, she used to drive the streets in the 60s, 70s. It's in heritage.
The inheritance is mechanical, but also emotional. It passes through garages, music, summer cruises, and that first ride in the back seat.
I fell in love with American classic cars from the age of like 1 year old. At that point, I didn't even have a choice. It just happened. My father, he had these classic American cars, and he drove me around in those cars. And every time that I got into a car with a V8 engine, I fell asleep.
At the center of this culture is the American car. And as the world around it changes, so does its meaning. For some, the symbols are simply part of the look, rebellion, attitude, and the mythology of the American outlaw. But nostalgia and resistance do not exist in isolation. In parts of the scene, they also overlap with wider political unease, creating space for right-wing ideas to take hold. Many inside the culture insist it's not political. For them, the cars are a meeting point, not a statement. But as Sweden embraces electric cars and tougher climate rules, the old American car can become more than a hobby. For some, it's a way of pushing back against change and reclaiming a sense of control.
Personally, I would never put an electric motor inside of these cars. V8 petrol engine, American made, is a big part of the car. It's like it's the soul and heart of the car. If you don't have that, what do you have?
You never know the future. It happens so much politically in this world right now. Is there petrol in 25 years? I don't know.
The cars carry a dream of freedom, but also an unease that the conditions that made that dream possible may not last. For some, that remains private nostalgia. For others, it becomes a way of pushing back against the direction Sweden is taking. The V8 begins to represent more than an engine. For some, it represents a way of life they do not want to see changed.
You can't stop something that so many people love. It's not just something that you like. Many people love this. It's a hobby and it's a passion. I think in 20 years' time it will still be here. If you want to drive an electric car, go ahead. but don't stop me from driving my hobby car, because that's like a thing for me in my life.
You'll never know. A lot of younger probably get into the culture, I hope. I will at least pass it along to my kids when I get them one day.
Sweden didn't simply copy American car culture, it transformed it. This is a culture built around American mythology, and America seen through rose-tinted glass. Across Sweden, these cars continue to move through a country, changing around them. For some, they represent friendship, memory, and a passion for the past. For others, they also express resistance to new technology, new expectations, and a future that feels increasingly unfamiliar. More than transportation, these cars have become a living identity, part subculture, part memory, and at times a political statement. The question is no longer whether these cars belong to the past, it's what they'll come to mean in the future, and whether the people who love them can keep that legacy alive. If you enjoyed this story of the American dream in Sweden and want to see more stories like this, subscribe to DW Rev.